Welcome back to Tailgate with the Tullies. I'm CJ,
And I'm Ryan.
and today we're going to be going over our predictions for the college football playoffs. So the college football playoffs have changed this year to where the top four seeds go straight to the quarterfinals, while the remaining 8 teams play in the first round at a higher seed's home field. This will be different than a designated location. This marks the first time there will be a home field advantage in a win-or-go-home scenario in college football, as this year they've added 12 teams instead of your typical 4. So Ryan, you have any thoughts on this?
I think this is great for college football. This is my first year really getting into college football, but I always thought it was stupid that with hundreds of colleges and a lot of competitive teams, that only 4 of them would get to make it, and sometimes it's not even the top 4 records or anything. So I think this gives a lot of possibility for new teams to get in there that may not have made the cusp before, and allow for a lot more upsets and fun experiences, especially with the home field advantage. I think that's something that's cool.
Yeah, so do you want to start us off with your number 12 team?
I would love to start you off with my number 12 team. I think this team could be a little bit of a sleeper this year. I have them kind of wiping out every team. I think the biggest competition is Utah for them, but I got Oklahoma State University. Go Cowboys. I believe that this team.
Wow, from an Eagles fan.
Yeah. But I think that they're gonna dominate the competition. They have 2 ranked games against Utah and Kansas State, and I think if they can win both of those, that they have a shot at getting that last spot.
Yeah, my number 12 team will be West Virginia Mountaineers. I believe that they, as we're watching the Pat McAfee show with the rowdy crowd right now, I think they will beat Penn State this upcoming week. And I think that'll be a great start for them to make themselves known through the SEC. I also have them beating Kansas and ranked Kansas State. I think just those abundance of wins will be enough to push them through into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick there. I'm getting hyped just watching this. So.
Yeah.
My number 11, kind of fumbled around with this spot for a little bit, but I have the University of Miami. They don't really play any ranked teams. I think that there's a couple teams that they play that might get a rank at some point, and if Miami can beat them, then that'll jump them, because I think the ranked wins are the most important thing. So not like a great team, but just think that with the way their schedule plays out, that if they can win all their games, they can easily sneak in there.
Yeah, at number 11, I have Utah. I have them in with beating Oklahoma State and Arizona. I don't think that'll be much competition to them. And just beating your ranked teams on your schedule is enough, I think, to get you that spot.
That pick kind of hurts me, as 2 of those teams are in my ranks that you have them beating. But my number 10, don't really have much reasoning behind this. I just think Missouri, I think they're ranked 10 to start the season. And I think they're going to flatline and just stay there for most of the year. I don't think the schedule's too difficult to where that they'll have too much issue with that, but yeah, just don't have much behind that.
Number 10, this might be a surprise to most given their reputation, but I have Georgia. I have them there just because of the teams I have them losing to. I have them beating Clemson at home, but then I have them going on a 3-game ranked losing streak against at Alabama, at Texas, and at Ole Miss. I then have them rounding out with a win against Tennessee at home. I just think that this is a time where Georgia starts to fall off after losing so much talent, and the schedule really catches up to them.
I could see that happening. My 9th pick, I have the Clemson Tigers, a team that hasn't really had much football success in the past couple of years, but I think that looking at their schedule, they have some ranked matchups against Florida State, who just lost to Georgia Tech, so I think that it's a winnable game, even though they're in Florida for that game. NC State, both teams I think that they could beat. I think that their only loss is going to come from Georgia week 1, which is actually tomorrow. So even if they can beat Georgia tomorrow, then I think that they're set to even go higher. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I have my 9 team at Texas A&M. I believe they will lose the opening game tomorrow to Notre Dame. As you'll see, I have Notre Dame up there. I believe they will beat Missouri, LSU, and Texas, though, which I believe gives them a higher ranking than usual and gets them into the 9th spot.
I got my 8 team as Ole Miss. They have a lot of ranked teams on their schedule, but I think they have a lot of ranked teams that are beatable, including Oklahoma and LSU. I think the only team that's really going to give them a big challenge would be Georgia, which I can see them losing. So that's why I have them not as high, because I do think that they're going to lose a game or 2. I just think that they're going to beat the 16th ranked and the 13th ranked teams, and that'll boost them. And then they'll lose to Georgia, which will drop them a bit.
Yeah, at my 8th spot, this is another surprise possibly to many, along with my Georgia pick, but I have Alabama. I believe Alabama will beat Georgia, as I said, but then I believe they lose to Tennessee, beat Missouri, lose to LSU, and then beat Oklahoma. I don't think they're going to have a bad season, but I do believe with the teams I have above them that the games they will lose will impact them as I have the other teams they're losing to ahead. I think without Saban, you're just losing that edge, and yeah, I don't think they're going to be a bad group as well, but I don't think they're going to be the same, Alabama. As they already fell off last year, too. Many will say they don't deserve that spot last year.
Don't bring that memory back.
Yeah.
My biggest surprise here, at 7, I have a team. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 7. I have a team that I've fallen in love with while playing NCAA, but I just think that they have a lot of talent on this team, and that the way their schedule maps out, they have some tough games against Utah, as CJ alluded to earlier, but I think that Arizona might run the table, beating the ranked teams. They're starting off as the 21st ranked, but I think that they will run the table and slide into the 7th spot, just because they don't play too many hard teams, and I just think that getting that win over Utah would be very huge.
Yeah, I think that's insane. My 7 is a lot more reasonable, and I could believe can make an actual run at a higher seed. I have Tennessee. I liked how Tennessee played last year, and seeing this year, I think they'll beat NC State on the road. They could beat Oklahoma on the road, and then they take Alabama at home, which I do see them beating, which is why I have them above Alabama. But I do have them losing out to Georgia at the end. I like Tennessee's play. They're a lot of quick, fast pace, and I think they could jump a lot of these teams if things play out right for them.
I think that's a crazy pick because I don't think they're going to beat 2 of those teams that you mentioned. But
Who would that be?
Oklahoma and Alabama. I think that I was looking at.
I was looking at Oklahoma a lot.
The schedule's way too tough, I think, for them to.
But see, me having them beat these teams, that's why they're.
Well, yes, I
they're
get that, but I think even if they beat those teams, I think they'd be. I don't know. I don't see them beating them, so it's not.
We can do a recap with you.
My 6th pick, I had CJ have them at 10. I have them at 6. I have the Georgia Bulldogs. I think that they lose one of their ranked games, a very crucial ranked game, to Alabama. I just think that Alabama is going to be very good this year, and I have Alabama very high. I don't think that they're going to fall off. So I think that that's going to drop them. I can see them even losing another ranked game. I just don't think they have the talent.
Yeah, I know you had these guys higher up, but I got Clemson at 6. I think they'll lose to Georgia on the road, but then I think they finish out beating NC State and Florida State, and I think that'll be enough to bump them to a higher seed this year. You haven't seen the same drive from Clemson as in recent years, but I do believe they get back to their way and overcome Alabama and Georgia as overall team.
I can see that happening too. I don't know if they play enough teams to jump them that high that are good, unless they beat Georgia.
That's why I was.
My 5 pick, I have the Texas Longhorns. Shout out Longhorns. They have a very tough schedule. They play some nice ranked teams here. They play Georgia, they play Michigan, and I think that they beat both of those teams, and that really springboards them. That's why I have Georgia below, because I think that Texas will beat Georgia, and that will definitely springboard them to the top 5.
Okay. There's another surprise, maybe to many, but I have Ole Miss at 5. I think Ole Miss beating LSU on the road and then taking Oklahoma and Georgia at home. I think beating Georgia at that time late in the season will be enough to move them up to the 5 spot. I really like this team this year, and I could see a lot of surprises with this team.
I don't hate that pick either. All right, now we're going into the top 4.
Top 4.
So number 4, I have Oregon. I have this team beating everyone they play. They have a very tough schedule, but I see them losing to the best. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I have them losing to OSU, and I think that that's the only reason that they're gonna lose. I think that's the only game they lose. I think they have a lot of talent. They got a lot of skilled players everywhere, and I don't see them overcoming OSU. I know it's in Oregon, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll touch more on that later. Because in my 4, I have Ohio State. I have them beating Iowa, but losing that crucial game to Oregon, I think, is what ultimately will bump them back. And I think losing to Penn State in Beaver Stadium is going to be the drawing point to push them back to the 4, get out of the top 3. I think to Penn State, this is their Super Bowl, and being in Penn State and Beaver Stadium, I think, will be the reason they lose this. Personally, don't know why this wasn't the whiteout game. I think that would have been cool, and again, I believe this is your Super Bowl. So ultimately, I think Ohio State's much better than Penn State, but I think Penn State is playing this year for that game, So, and I will be there. So I think that plays into that a little bit. But then I also have them beating Michigan to round that out.
I think it's sad that your Super Bowl is like week
One of
5.
the best teams in the
week
league.
5.
Week 5. It's late.
I don't know, but I don't think you should be celebrating a win like that.
For sure, it's in November.
Like Penn State should be shooting higher. Okay. My third team, I have Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. I think their schedule is kind of light. They don't really play too many ranked teams. I think they play Florida State might be the only. Is Texas A&M ranked? I know they play Texas A&M. So they play 2 ranked teams. I don't think that either. USC is also ranked. Sorry, but yeah, I don't see them having too much trouble with any of these teams. I just have them sweeping the competition, which is going to make them undefeated and top 6.
Yeah, my number 3, I think the current number 3 is Texas. I think they beat Michigan on the road, beat Oklahoma on the road. They can beat Georgia at home. Yeah, Georgia at home, which then gives you, again, I think everyone beating Georgia is what's going to ultimately bump all these teams and knock Georgia back. But I do have them losing to Texas A&M at the end, and that is the reason I think Texas A&M makes it in. So yeah, Texas at my 3.
Gotcha. Rounding out the top 2 teams, obviously, when I don't say the 1, you're going to know who the 1 is, but Alabama, I have them at number 2. I think that the loss to Nick Saban will be big, but I think that there's still talent there. I like Jalen Miller a lot, even though he sold in the playoffs last year. That was actually not. That was horrible play calling. But I have them at 2. Once again, I just think they sweep the competition, but they just don't play as good of teams as who I have at the 1. So I think that my 1 is pretty solid.
Number 2, I have my Fighting Irish. Top of my door, we got Play Like a Champion today. Got Notre Dame. I have them sweeping out their ranked teams, beating Texas A&M, beating Florida State, and beating USC. I would have them at my 1. I believe they will, or they do have the great shot at winning the national championship this year. But with my number 1 team, I don't think they can touch that.
Crazy take. I don't think they would even sniff to the college football championship just because they don't play. They don't play enough good competition in the regular season to prep them for that big moment there.
I mean, you're beating 3 ranked teams.
Okay, but all 3 of them are going to be bottom 20 at the end of this week. So to me, I just don't see that being too big of a challenge. But we all see.
We do miss the loss of Sam Hartman. What a guy! And I think he just got cut by Washington.
I think he did too.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate.
My number 1 pick, and obviously there's going to be a little questions about this because of the teams they play. But I got Ohio State University. They play Oregon and Penn State and Michigan, which are all going to be very big games. I think the one that's going to be the toughest is Oregon. I know CJ's very high on Oregon this year, but I have OSU beating them, even though it's in Oregon. I just think that the talent, there's the skills of the Ohio State offense is awesome. They have a lot of great players at each position. I'm a big fan of the running back Judkins. Love that guy. But, yeah, and then I have them beating Penn State. I don't think Penn State's got shit on OSU, and I think that, that's what I got.
Now we have to modify this. Number 1, I have the Ducks. I got Oregon. I think they take care of Ohio State at home, which ultimately gives them number 1. I think they wear their nightmare uniforms, and I think
doesn't scare me.
Yeah, it will. They'll beat them. And then they finish it off with Michigan. Again, they don't play that many ranked teams, but Dylan Gabriel, love his ability to roll out and move in the pocket. I think they just take care of business, and that'll be enough to get them number 1.
All right. So who do you think? You got some teams on the cusp here.
Yeah, I had Penn State as a just missing. I don't think they have much competition to play for, but again, I don't think many college teams do. I do have them losing on the road to USC, which I think will be the determining game to bump them. I do have them beating Ohio State, though, which could be a reason to sneak them in, but that's why I have West Virginia beating Penn State. I don't know. I don't think Penn State is ever going to amount to what it has been.
I don't think Drew Aller's the guy for them, and I think until he's gone that they won't win anything.
I wasn't a Sam Clifford guy either, though. I think your quarterbacks are what's holding you back.
Even worse.
Yeah.
The team I got the biggest on the cusp is just Michigan. I think they play way too many talented teams, and that those losses are going to pile up and bump them out.
You play Texas, USC, Oregon, and at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And the loss of Harbaugh, you lose.
You lost Blake Corum.
You lose McCarthy.
Yeah,
Not them. I still don't think McCarthy.
I don't think McCarthy was good, but he
quarterback.
was able to fit well into that offense.
Yeah.
I think there's too many losses there, too many pieces missing. Like whereas Alabama lost the head coach, but they still have the talent around it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great college season. I think with the addition of more playoff teams, you add more excitement throughout the season. It's not like you're just getting your basic 4 teams that you know are going to be a lock. I would hope that this amounts for more play and more competition coming down to the wire. I guess you could look at it as some teams might not play as hard, given that there are more spots. Like you just play for your ranked
I think that's
games.
very risky though.
That is.
Because if you lose to those non-ranked teams, that drops you a lot more than losing to a ranked team.
But then you look at a team like West Virginia, or I think Liberty's possible sneak-in team. They went undefeated last year. If they do it again, now with 12 teams, I think they could take them. They played Oregon in a bowl game last year, but got smoked.
So that's what happens when you have lower end schools playing top 5.
They're all D1.
Okay.
They're all D1.
Okay. So is Longwood, but you don't see them anywhere near the top 25.
Well, yeah, but those are our takes for the top 12 teams. Drop a comment of who you think can make it, and follow us on our socials at.
Our Instagram is Tailgating with the Tullys. Tully Tailgate, and our YouTube is Tailgating with the Tullys.
Thank you guys for listening, and tune into the live show Monday at 6 to 8 on WCUR Westchester.
Right
Thank you.
before Monday Night Football.
Yes, sir.